Hey, friends, Tim Town here. Listen, we're going to talk about AI and the value you're going to bring to customers. Now, listen, if you're somebody that is going to have customers that you want to improve their business, this is going to be a great fit for you. If you're somebody that's just coach, consulting, whatever, this is still a fit for you because you can implement it into your own business. So it's kind of a twofold: put it into your own business and how you can help others. So we're going to jump right in. I'm going to make my board a little bigger so you can see this. And one moment. Let's go. Let's go here. All right. So what I'm going to show you now is how the proper way of selling services. And I've always had this outcome first. And when I used to do business turnaround, I always looked at the outcome first. What is the outcome that my client is looking to gain? A lot of times I would get a business that was either bleeding money or they knew they could do more and they just weren't, it wasn't there. So what was the outcome that we could do for them? Or it was a company that was being sued. I had one that there was a phone company. He owned a franchise, if you will, from a cell phone company, and they were suing him. I believe it was a little over $1 million. And my outcome, I was going to negotiate with this. He didn't think that they were going to negotiate. Every time he tried to deal with them, they wouldn't deal with them. And long story short, but we had to actually have somebody confess to some issues that was internal. And we got him to do that. So this was a very big, complicated thing that we had to get this client out of this problem. And the first thing I needed to do is get this employee to confess, which was going to be very difficult to do. And we were able to do that. And then he signed a confession of judgment. There's the admission of guilt. And at that point, we took that, brought it to the carrier, and then negotiated a settlement because they were wanting to sue him and all of these things. It was really bad. So what was the outcome for him? The outcome was anything better than 1.2 million, right? So that was going to put him at a 1.2 million deficit, meaning he was going to be sued for that. And outside of that, he had nothing sellable, right? So what we did is we actually negotiated for the company to take over that particular store, if you will. He wanted out anyway. He wasn't really doing enough money. And again, he had an employee theft going on. He was an amputee. He was an absentee owner, which is always another problem that you're going to have. But that was the deal. So what did we do? We negotiated. We showed that it was really employment and mismanagement, and we got them to settle. Forget this, $3,000. That was some expenses that they had out of pocket. They said, listen, if we can recover that, we'd be good to go. So what was the outcome here? The outcome is he got out of a bad deal, number one. So he got out of the deal. Two, we saved him 1.2 million. So here's the reason why I want to bring this to a point here. What do you think I could have charged? And let's say I was and I believe in this, by the way, result only, right? Have you ever seen attorneys? By the way, I'm not an attorney. I did business turnaround. I was a debt negotiator, arbitrator, but I was not an attorney. And that gave me an advantage back then because as soon as somebody knew that you hired a law firm, what do? They send you to legal, right? They don't want to talk. They don't want to do anything that's going to hurt them. So at the end of the day, this was a huge outcome for this client. And so think about this. And I remember calling him and saying, hey, are you sitting down? He goes, oh God, what's the deal? I said, no, it's all good news. But get this, what do you think would be great? And he threw some numbers out, 6-figure numbers, by the way, but he threw some numbers out. And I said, how about $3,000? And he's like, when can I sign the check? Like, super excited. And we got him out of this, which he was able to do some things to where he got some money for that too. But at the end of the day, what could I have charged, right? What could I have charged that he would have felt like was a good deal? What if I charged $100,000 saying, hey, I can do this deal. I'm going to get you out of it. We're going to most likely get them to settle. Let's say we're reverse engineering this now. Of course, we didn't know exactly what we were going to do as far as the outcome. But let's say, hey, what if I could get them down to like $3,000 and we get you out of the deal? You're no longer in a 5-year contract with them. They're going to take over the store and you get to walk away clean, with the exception of $3,000 getting out of this deal. I think he would have been like, it's worth whatever, but 100,000, it probably would have been worth. Now, mind you, back then I only charged, I believe it was $12,000. That was my fee by the time I was all said and done. Just know that it was time intensive. I had to stage something at his building, bring this manager in. I had to tell his assistant, meaning the business owner, the assistant, you got to bring a glass of water for this person, and you got to seat me after he's already been seated. You're going to bring me in, meaning he's going to see me for the very first time in his life. Of course, I was in a suit. I wanted it to be a little intimidating, so we had made sure that we had a very large conference table where he was going to be sitting. It was isolated, and then I would have the owner come in, and then I did my thing. Not to get into the weeds of what I did there, but it was like verbal diarrhea. He just totally confessed. And at the end of the day, I said, listen, 2 things are going to happen. Either we're going to have the authorities come, you're going to be arrested, or you can sign this confession of judgment. Now, get this. This was 3 weeks before Christmas. So I had a hard time with it too. Folks, I've got a big heart, but theft is theft. And what this guy was doing was really bad. And I had to get over that, right? But in the same token, we like, what could we do though that would be not as bad for him? Well, nobody wants to be arrested. And what was good for him was signing a confession of judgment and paying back the monies that were lost to this company. And it was only what we could physically document that we feel what was stolen. It was probably more than that, but I got him to sign. And just that win alone was worth a lot of money to my client. Then when it was all said and done, now we took that evidence, that information, sent it to the carrier, and they're like, oh, wow, how can they say anything against that? It was now they can see that it wasn't the owner's fault. And they're like, okay, let's work with them. Tell you what, if you can have him pay what we're out of pocket. I didn't know what that was. So they got back to me same day, by the way, got back to me and said it was, I believe it was like $3,600. And I said, I think that's fair. Let me get to my client and I'll get back to you. And of course we did the deal and we got him out of it. So the reason why I want to share this, I want you to get your mind around value. Always consider what is the outcome. And I'm sure you guys have heard this time and time again, but you really got to think about it. What is the outcome? If you got a bad tooth, what is the outcome? And let's say you got a bad tooth. It's 9:00 on a Friday night, and the dentist office is not open until Monday, and you're in excruciating pain. How much would it be worth to you to get that tooth taken care of? I had a brother-in-law that did this for me, right? And it was wonderful. And ironically, this was the same exact thing. It was a Friday. It was a Thursday night because we were leaving Friday for a vacation. And ironically, I had a root canal issue. And he says, Tim, come on in. And it was amazing. I mean, it would have been worth, he wouldn't take any money from me because I was his brother-in-law, even though I was trying to force it. But at the end of the day, it could have been, I don't know what. I mean, it would have been worth it. You get the point, right? So outcome. We got to have the outcome. Now let's look at a business. So now you have a business, and we're going to have a series with AI. We're going to have the series. And for those that don't know me, I own a tech company called Sparterra. We create multiple SaaS systems, including apps. I have an app right now. I would love for you to download. It's 100% free, called Mininar. And we have webinars that teach you these type of things. So if you're interested in that, do that. And then I'll give you instructions on how to get these codes to watch videos when they are coming out, or the webinars. All right, let's get back to this. So if you have a business right now that you're reaching out to, it can be any business. Okay, let's just use a dental office, right? A dental office. It could be car dealer. It could be a tax pro guy. That would be a good one. Tax professionals, CPAs. It could be numerous. It's just numerous. Anybody that receives a phone call. So what do I mean by this? So you want to look for a business that has what's called sales, right? Isn't that everybody for the most part, right? They need sales. So imagine that this dental office, the average, let's say the average customer is $1,200. Let's just say. It's probably a lot more than that, but let's say, I mean, just cleanings alone throughout a whole year, who knows what that is with insurances and out of pocket. Let's just say it's $1,200 or $1,200 plus. And right now, I know of some dental offices that are horrible with getting back to you. They're horrible with taking on a schedule, right? So what you could do is come out to this company and say, listen, we would love to automate your business. Are you losing sales? Are you losing customers? Are you maximizing the earning potential of your practice? Because keep in mind, if you get a practice of any kind, I don't care what it is, you get a practice doing a large amount of profit, what can they do? They can replicate. They can open up another practice somewhere else, replicate the system. And when they do that, what does that do for you? You're replicating their system. So your income goes up. So let's suppose that this dentist loses 200 customers on average per year. Maybe it's past customers that just got dissatisfied, went somewhere else. And again, this is with any industry, by the way, for the most part. Just look at the industry. If you're looking at a customer and their profit per customer is, let's say, $35, probably not a customer for you. Does that make sense? Because here's what you're going to see. We have a calculator on TextMeal. That is a software that I offer for my customers. And by the way, down the road, you don't have to use us, but down the road, we're going to offer our softwares for you to use that you make the money taking on these customers. But let's just say $1,200 dollars is average, and I can't do simple math, even though it's two zeros. $1,200 times 200 equals that they're losing approximately, potentially. Now, mind you, there is a percentage there, but let's just say $240,000 a year. This is a K. $240,000 a year they could potentially be losing. Now, so what would you be doing here? You would be coming in as a system specialist, an AI prompting specialist, and you're going to implement AI into their business. Now, I will tell you, I'm not the only one that says this, of course. I will tell you that AI is replacing jobs, and rightfully so. Automations is really where it's at. Okay. I do believe having a staff for sure, but at the end of the day, if you can automate your processes and keep efficiency there, that's where it's at. So you're going to see more and more and more companies where it's a solopreneurship and they're making millions of dollars per year. That is possible. You're also seeing for the first time solopreneurship becoming a billionaire for the first time with no staff. You're going to see more and more of that happening, especially with not only AI, but, you know, SaaS and all that other stuff. Okay, let's get back to this. So at this point, you would be showing the client using their own numbers. So when you're talking to the client, you would be using their numbers. Let me grab this pen. You would be using their numbers, and let's do this. And let's say it was 240,000. But even let's say that this number was even 100,000. You know, what would it be worth to them to not only get that 100,000, but to grow? Meaning that's just fixing what they got going wrong. Can you imagine additional, right? So now you can put in place these AI agent that gets additional income. How would you go about doing that? Well, you would install SMS. So, whoops, SMS, that would be text messaging. Somebody would message, hey, what is this? Or, Q&A. Q&A is another thing where a client is answering their own question and making a buying decision to go with the company. So this would be on automation. So this would be auto. The other thing that you would be doing is a sales agent. This is where somebody calls up, sales agent, and they, for the most part, don't know. Today, though, a lot of people don't care. So people are saying, hey, this is my AI. I'm Lizzie, the AI agent, or I'm Linda, your AI agent. People are becoming more and more used to it, and it's okay. Whereas a long time ago, I remember when people didn't trust email, and then they got used to it and they started trusting it. Or they didn't trust user interfaced websites. They got used to it, portals, stuff like that, and they now trust it. So even AI agents, eventually we're going to be immune to the fact that it is AI. Matter of fact, a lot of people kind of forget that it's AI, right? And they talk to it like it's a real human. But what's nice about it is the efficiencies. It doesn't have amnesia. It's going to understand. You got to train the AI agent. That's another value you bring to this company. So now they got a sales agent. They got SMS working where people are just texting, hey, can I get an appointment? And then the text message is setting up or booking an appointment. So now you got the calendar working for you. You got a sales agent working for you and customer service. Somebody calls in, hi, it's Tim. And I was wanting to make an appointment, or I made an appointment for Wednesday, 2 weeks from now, but unfortunately I'm going to be out of town. Can I reschedule it? Absolutely, Mr. Town. How does this? You get the point. All of these get implemented by you, right? You implement these strategies. So if they were at 240,000 and you charged 10,000 a month for all of these, so you would be giving them this, you would be giving them this, you'd be giving them this and this. Maybe they only need one or two of them, but you get the point. You got to figure out what the problem is first. We got to look at the problem. Can I give you one more scenario? There was a restaurant that says, I don't understand it. People love our food. We're pretty busy, but we're bleeding money. I said, and by the way, they were referred to me. And I said, well, let's do this. And I looked over the company and I asked them, do you have security cameras? No, I don't. The first thing I told them to do, install the security cameras because I had a feeling of what was going on. Sure enough, employees were stealing. They were stealing high-end lobster tails and this and this and that. And then we got to the nitty gritty and I told him, I said, what are you known for? And he says, I'm known for burgers. And I said, okay, what else are you known for? My high-end brewed beers, right? And I gave him a name idea. I can't say, but we gave him a name idea. And at the end of the day, he changed the model of the business. He put efficiencies in place like portals, a really good kiosk system. We put that into place, put cameras in place, trained the staff that, first of all, they know you're on camera. So the theft went literally to zero and his profit surged. And here's one reason why. They were able to turn the tables a lot faster by bringing it down to a one menu, meaning a one sheet menu, both side. It's got both sides to it. A one sheet menu with a drink order menu. And that was it. The efficiencies were amazing. So what would somebody pay for that? Well, you're literally turning their business right around. So the number is off the hook. What two ways I come up with that? Number one, what problem am I solving? What problem am I solving? And two, the outcome. What outcome, based on the problem that I'm solving, are they going to achieve? And when we look at that, and I always use their numbers, if we can bring the profit to this number, and if we can get these many people coming to your company every day, and we change this and this and this, what is this going to do for your company? And they usually will know that number, right? And we'll use this again. And once again, this is why I love this model is, for one, you charge per AI agent that they need. They need SMS only, you charge for that. Do they need voice? So we have another, well, I can't say. We have another program coming out that is similar to TextMeo, but it's all voice animated. So with that in mind, you just bring that on, and that will give a price per month. Does that make sense to you? And keep in mind, you can always taper or tailor specific needs to them. So let's say something would be $25,000 per month, saving them XYZ, meaning now you have to remember when you're implementing these things, it's also saving on employees, right? First of all, how much of this is a write-off to a business? By the way, I'm not a CPA, but what is this a write-off to a business? Assuming the business is doing things right, it's 100% write-off, right? So, but they don't have anyone calling in sick. They don't have anything to deal with politically or sexual harassment, all these other things. There's so many more perks by having AI agents working the efficiencies into a company. It's insane how much value is there. So there's even more value than just that money. But you could easily just say, listen, based on your company, and I've done a few companies similar to yours, so it's going to be a lot easier for us to implement them because, again, you got to train these AI, and you can learn this at another time. But at the end of the day, we could possibly do this for $7,500 a month, and then you get a contract. Okay. Can you imagine how fast you could grow a business like that? But I just wanted to give you the bird's eye view. This is the bird's eye view of the power of understanding the outcome. And this is not just with AI. This is with anything that you solve. Maybe you have a course or a consulting or a tribe that you're doing right now, and you're solving problems. What is the outcome you're going to give these people? That is how you come up with your pricing model. And by the way, if you're looking forward to more stuff like this, comment below. If you'd like the pricing model, put in pricing and we'll be able to send that over to you when we develop that. We're working on it right now, and we'll get that over to you. But I hope this served you. We'll see you on the next video. Peace.